This was by no means my dream home, but it was a cheaper place to stay than my last one and a lot closer to work. The real estate agent was giving me the whole tour, and then we went into the basement, and that's when I saw it. At the end of the basement hallway was a large iron door. We couldn't get that open and it seemed to be rusted shut. Don't worry, we think it's just an old food storage room. I wasn't really worried about it. In fact, I was curious as to what may have been behind that door. I signed the paperwork, and for £280,000, the 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom was mine. It was about a month in, and I had fully completed the move. I then procured tools needed to breach the iron door under my house. I used Sawzall, blowtorches and pry bars. After a week of working on it, I finally got the door to come off its hinges. I backed away as it fell to the ground with a loud echoing thud, and then looked on the other side of the frame to see a large mine, complete with structure beams and a minecart that stood motionless. The first thing I did was call my friends Ashley and Jack to come take a look at it. They fancied themselves urban explorers, and if anyone was going to have the right tools for the job, it would be them. Jack was thrilled as hell. He thought it might have been an abandoned gold mine. Ashley, on the other hand, was skeptical about why it was abandoned and locked in the first place. I, for one, should have listened to Ashley. We spent the day acquiring gear, ropes, flashlights, provisions, also pencil and paper for a map, and finally a camcorder. We ventured down into the mine's opening, small and claustrophobic. It was so dead silent, I could hear the sound of water coming from further in the caves. "Maybe there's an underground river nearby," Jake says enthusiastically. As we walked through the tunnels, we could see that they seemed to be mining coal. It was getting harder to distinguish things because the walls were starting to get covered in thick webs, layer upon layers of sticky silk, stretched across the beams, and even trying to block our path. Jake had a pocket knife and was able to cut through it for us, but it dulled the blade and was a daunting task. What the hell could make a web that big? I immediately got my answer when we shined our light down the hallway as it illuminated the biggest spider I had ever seen in my life. It skittered into a rock fissure above us, but it was so big I could hear its sickening footsteps across the wall. Its legs were long, black and spindly. It had a green pattern on its back and 8 large eyes that reflected light. Did you guys see that? No way I imagined it. Jake continued to walk forward, and as he did, his foot stepped on something that almost caused him to trip. It was a human skull. Looking around, we could see the skeletal remains of many, each wearing miners' hats and each bound to the walls with cobwebs. That's when we noticed that mine went into a large cavern, and when we shined our lights on it, our blood collectively ran cold. At the heart of this cavern was a colossal spider the size of a small house or large shed. 8 eyes reflected the light back at us, and venom dripped from fangs that looked more like katana blades. Surrounding it were dozens upon dozens of spiders like the one we had seen earlier. We turned around and we booked it. We didn't give them a chance to catch up to us. We never went down there again.